Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, Reiki master, empowerment coach, and intuitive guide. I'm here with this week's messages from your angels by astrological sign. Today is August 2nd, 2018. If you'd like to learn more about me, my services, or to book a private session, please feel free to go to my website at www.terihunter.com. That's TERIHUNTER.com. Or you feel free to give me a call. The number is below in the information. So before I get started, I think those of you that have been watching know that we're in the middle of eclipse season. So we've had our second eclipse was last week. It was on Thursday, I believe, and it was a lunar eclipse. It was the closest eclipse and the longest eclipse to Earth. That sounded weird. It was the closest to Earth and the longest eclipse in 120 years. The potential effects of this eclipse could reach up to the next 6 months, depending upon where it falls in our chart. It also fell on two karmic points, our North Node and South Node. And so you guys may be feeling really extra sensitive, extra sketchy, extra anxious a little bit. I kind of just want to say breathe through it. We have the planet Uranus squaring Mars now. Mars is retrograde. Saturn is retrograde. Mercury went retrograde July 25th. So it's just really a crazy time right now outside there in the atmosphere. So as you're aware of this, it can give you the opportunity to kind of take a step back in some moments rather than reacting, taking a breath, taking a step away so that you can make a conscious choice. And as you make these conscious choices, it's actually laying the stepping stones for moving forward and for kind of reconciling what has been and being able to move forward with sort of a fresh start. These eclipses are bringing up for many of us transformational dynamics that are grandly designed to lift the rug on our unhappiness and to bring forth more creation towards the things that we want and the permission that we give ourselves to do that. Okay, so now I'm going to jump into Aries. Let's see what the angels have to say for you this week, my Aries. I'm an Aries rising, so I feel myself much more Aries than I am my Libra sun. And our ruling planet, Mars, is retrograde in the sky. Big red star, angry, mad, crazy right now. All right, here we go. Aries, our first angel is Archangel Gabriel. And she talks about having a divine life's purpose in arts and the communications. But what I think she's talking about here is not being insecure. These energies are really testing us right now, and many of us may be much closer to the fruition of our dreams, of our desires, of our intentions than we realize. And the apparent lack of activity or movement or completion of the cycle can kind of trigger us in some ways. So what she's asking you to do is have your self-talk come from a more faithful place. Daniel is the angel of marriage and the opportunity or the obstacle, but I don't think this is talking about a partnership. When Daniel shows up, he really asks us to look at where what we've experienced in our intimate bodies, in our intimate relationships, and to come into our new situation with fresh eyes, using our old experiences as reference points versus things that we're afraid of, things we don't want to have happen. There's a very strong resistant energy in that. And then I have Vanessa in the Angel's Advice that very much is going back to Archangel Gabriel saying, are you going to make your decisions based on faith or are you going to buy into fear? Because the last card is Akasha, and that's the card of the spiritual teacher. So I want to say this. I'm not saying that my Aries are all spiritual teachers, but what I do believe is happening is that as a collective, you're going through a dynamic where you haven't seen the completion of something or you haven't seen the manifestation of what it is you want. And then as a result of that, your opportunity right now is to go back into your story a little bit as a reference point and say, do I really need to buy the old story? Or can I give myself permission to know that I have evolved as a person, I have evolved as a human on this planet, and maybe I may not be seeing evidence of what's coming or what I'm trying to manifest, but I get to look at it from a different eyes, and in doing so, teach myself something about myself that gives me the strength to move forward into the next dynamic, the next project, the next dream, the next intention. All right, let's go on to Taurus. All right. Our first angel is Astera. Our second is Grace and Antoinette. The third is Bethany. And the final angel is Vanessa. She showed up for Aries as well. Okay. So Taurus, my first and fourth position are more in the material world. They're more evidence here in the earth plane. Whereas the second and the third are more advisory. It's my... they're more conceptual. So here I have, for my Tauruses, I have Astera in the foundational position who's saying to reach for the stars and not to compromise with what you want. I don't think this is about adopting a bullish energy towards others as much as it's not allowing yourself to, in many ways, be derailed by other people's trepidations, fears, ideas. Whatever their version of your story is meant to be their version. And I really believe that your spirit is asking you this week to stay on course, to keep looking up, not always meaning up towards that vision of what you want versus the smallness of the obstacles that the earth experience can present. Because in my opportunity and my obstacle, I have Grace and Antoinette, and that is a card of compassion, of seeing things from another person's point of view. But I have it in relation to Bethany, and Bethany is a card of self-care. So this is about having compassion for yourself as you may be thinking outside the box. You may be experiencing something where others are very fearful for you or unsure of how it's going to play out, and it's really going to take a lot of inner strength on some level for you to stay the course on what you want, because there is no evidence that it's actually here yet. In the final position, I have Vanessa. Vanessa is asking me if I'm going to make my decisions based on faith or fear, and not hope, because hope is outside of myself. Hope says, gosh, I hope something's going to come in and save me. But here it's more faith. If I stay the course, if I listen to what Astera says, and I really reach for what it is that I want, and I show compassion to myself, and I'm gentle as I contemplate these things, and I notice myself going down an old story where I don't win, and then I change the story. And I just stay in sort of a suspended place right now, because these astrological dynamics, they are absolutely affecting everyone all around the earth. And we may not be aware of it as we're tooling through our days and we're rubbing up against other people. But as we stand in that version of ourselves, and you know what? It doesn't have to be one thing. We can have many interests and many things we want to reach for, and just methodically do what's the most fun thing first and then work your way down the list. Because in that, Taurus, you have an opportunity to not just enjoy things yourself and demonstrate that faith in what things you want makes them happen, makes them come, but to fruition into the earth plane. But it also is helpful for those that might be fearful for you, those that are unsure for you, that love you, and you're having to show self-compassion as you step outside of the herd or outside of the norm or the average to have an extraordinary experience. So I really think that this is a time of self-care, of self-care about my self-talk, not how I do my hair or my makeup or what clothes I'm wearing, my self-talk. All right, let's go on to Gemini. I'm going to take a quick sip of my drink. Okay. Gemini, what is on the books for you this week? As I'm shuffling the cards, the first thing I'm getting is that too much contemplation on either side of the fence, the pros and the cons, is going to make you nuts. Nuts, nuts, nuts. Because there's information that may not be available to you just yet. There may be dynamics in play that you're unaware of You know, Spirit does this wonderful thing, moves things around as we put intentions out there. All right, Gemini. Our first card is Grace and Antoinette, my card of compassion. The second card is Bridget, a card of looking deeper into a situation. The third is Indriel, and the final card is Omega. Okay, so as I was shuffling the cards, I was getting this back and forth pros and cons feeling. And I just really want to kind of take that off the table for you guys. There's going to be a pro inside the con, a con inside the pro, and you could go back and forth all day long. Again, you know, it seems to be kind of a common theme for this summer. A lot of what is transpiring is interior business. It is what we're thinking, how we're feeling, and in that, how we're walking into a situation, the dynamic. And this is an opportunity for Gemini to sort of look deeper into what your motives are when you're contemplating things. I've got Bridget. She's a card of caution saying look deeper. And then I have Indriel in the Angel's Advice saying that you're a light worker, which is really about shining a light on a situation. So are you tending to contemplate things to such the extent that what you're trying to do is patch a hole, or you're trying to fill a spot that you're afraid will not get filled? Because that was what the underlying energy is. It's a mistrusting energy. And I feel like as you give yourself permission to have compassion for the process of looking at your energetic dynamic as you're walking into the situation, you have an opportunity for victory. And that victory is not about manifesting something in the outside world. It's about learning how to use the twins, meaning the astrological sign, Gemini is the twins, to your advantage, to use them as pillars in some ways versus like going back and forth, back and forth. And I want to offer you this idea. As you're walking through your week, Gemini, and you're feeling that tendency to want to go back and forth, contemplate all sorts of ways to fill the holes, ask Spirit to give you the eyes to see the solutions in benign and easy ways. And so if the dynamics are out of your control, because with all these retrograde planets, I don't know, there's a lot of forward motion. So as I sit in the interior world and I give life to the idea that, you know what, if I have this desire, if I have this pull, there's a reason for it. And maybe the pull actually plays to a natural part of my being that is meant to express itself in one way or another. And in that, knowing that I don't actually know how I'm going to do it just yet, I don't know how it's going to play out. I don't know how to make it happen. But I can contemplate what it feels like when it happens. I can start to look at my interior world, my interior talk, and say, how am I speaking to myself? And then create a story where I win. And then Spirit can start to move things. Because if you're clanging a bell where you don't win, or there's struggle involved, or there is always lack, Spirit has no emotion in whether you experience that or not. It's part of the human dynamic. It's part of the contrast. So if you want that to subside and you want that to feel more balanced, you're going to have to call it forth from the inside out, and then give yourself permission to receive it. All right, let's go on to Cancer. Whoop. All right. I'm going to say it. I'm going to the beach after I film this. It is so hot right now, and the construction is nutty, and it's loud, and I'm hermetically sealed in my home. I can't stand it anymore. I'm going to the beach when this video is over. All right, Cancer. Sharon. Okay, first card is Akasha. The second is Daniel. The third is Isabella. And the final card is Adriana. All right, so Akasha is a spiritual teacher card. She talks about being able to help and counsel others. And while Cancers by nature are nurturers and loving people that just want to help others, I really feel like this is a little bit more about you being a spiritual teacher for yourself this week. And I don't mean about teaching yourself something. Any nurturer knows the importance of nurturing. And I feel like this Akasha is kind of saying, when I look at the spread, well, let me just kind of, I'll go real quick and then go back. Because I have Daniel, the angel of marriage, but there's a story as I enter a partnership. So this is what Akasha is talking about. Isabella in the angel's advice is saying, yes, the timing is right to endeavor some new partnerships. And then Adriana is saying she's leading you towards the answers to your prayers. So first and fourth position are born in the material world. Second and third are advisory. I believe that the spiritual teacher card is about coming together with the inner nurturer and knowing that you get to nurture yourself as much as you nurture others. And this is again about an interior job. It's about thinking about if I'm over giving, if I'm over taking care of other people, am I really being the energetic dynamic I want to be? Is it coming across as loving? Because I think what's happening is that there's a little bit of my cancers that are, how do I want to put this? I'm talking about a mothering energy in some respects, and a lot of you are probably not mothers or fathers, but there is an energy right now that I think Spirit is trying to teach about self-nurturing for my cancers. It's about knowing the story of which you've lived so far and then giving yourself permission to rewrite the story, whatever that is. So let's just say that you have been in challenging relationships for most of your life. You've always dated somebody who skirts the truth or somebody who is evasive. And what Akasha is offering you is to rewrite that story. I'm going to rewrite the story and say, you know what? I'm excited to meet somebody who is transparent, somebody who wants to be seen and committed. And then Daniel, the angel of marriage, of partnerships in general, is saying, so you can use your old story and the energetic dynamics of that, if you feel it or smell it, to step back for a minute and let us illuminate a path for you. Because Isabella is saying, yes, the timing is right for this new venture. And then again, Adriana is leading you to the answers to your prayers. Cancer has something to learn about, again, self-talk, which is a common theme right now, self-nurturing, your dreams, your desires, your truth, being able to facilitate that will actually help nurture others in your life. And if indeed others are tugging at you in some way and you're feeling challenged that you're, whatever you have been to them, they want you to be. So if you feel obligated to be a certain type of thing for them, let's just use the mother dynamic. And your children are always, needing you for this or that or this or that. Taking a little time for yourself, maybe saying, not right now, it's me time. I think that's really going to help open things up. There is an element of unknowing, but yet inner knowing that I think my cancers get to adopt, foster, and then walk towards. And I don't mean that physically walk towards. I mean that interiorly walk towards it. I hope that made sense for you, because I really think that what Spirit is trying to show you is that there's always going to be an old story. There's always going to be a story of challenge in some way. And as you allow those challenges to empower you rather than pull you down, rather than find yourself in the depths of frustration, stepping back and learning how to maybe even use that frustration to fuel you forward. All right, let's go on to Leo. It's your month, your birthday month, your birthday astrological sign month, your solar return. All right, Leo. Akasha again. And Ray, Shanti, and Athena. Okay, so Akasha is our spiritual teacher card. I'm not thinking that all my Leos are spiritual teachers, but as much as they have the ability to learn something about themselves, and in doing so, empowering themselves. I have Ray, which is a card that talks about yoga and exercise, but she sits in a meditative position. She has her power center chakra, which is reflected by the color yellow, connected to her third eye, which then shoots up into the universe, and it's flanked by a green and a blue stripe. So her power comes from her connection to spirit. That's what I think Akasha has to teach you this week, is as you connect to spirit with your wants and your desires. Because I have Shanti, the angel of peace, in the angel's advice for the connection. So it feels like this eclipse season might be a little choppy for my Leos. You might be feeling frustrated in many ways or unheard, because the final card is Athena, and she's telling you it's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself. But before you do that, I do believe they're asking you to connect with spirit to a deeper truth of what you're frustrated about, and to allow yourself to learn how, and I'm going to say this lovingly, Leo, is your frustration really outside of yourself, or is there a part of it? Are you participating somehow in your frustration? So let's say that certain people have, you play a certain role for others in your life. In families, we all have our dynamic. I'm the firstborn, I'm the secondborn, I'm the mom, I'm the dad, and therefore we have our roles. If for some reason right now, your role in your family is shifting, or you want your role in your dynamic, work dynamic, love dynamic, whatever the dynamic is, it's about connecting to spirit so that you can assert yourself in the way that you would want to receive the information, or in the way you would want to receive what may appear to be constructive criticism, judgment. If you're unhappy about something and you want to constructively course correct it, I feel like Spirit is saying this is an opportunity for you to connect with us so that you can assert yourself in the way you would want to receive this information. And in that way, showing up in a way that fosters a peaceful outcome to it, a way that fosters not only you being heard, but you actually hearing somebody and finding common ground. Don't know what that's all about, because again, Leo it's a big collective, so it's an interesting message. I feel very out of body today. I usually don't feel it till I'm halfway through, but the minute I started with Aries, I was like channeling already. So, all right, let's go into Virgo. All right, my Virgos. What does Spirit have to say for you this week? All right. First angel is Archangel Uriel. The second is Rosetta. The third is Francesca. And the final angel is Sonia. All right, my Virgos. So Archangel Uriel is talking about frustration, anger, unforgiveness. You may be very frustrated right now as a collective. I feel like there's so many things that you want to move forward and you just aren't being able to do so. And, it's so not surprising to me. Saturn is a slow-moving planet. It's been retrograde for months now. Mars has been retrograde for quite some time. Mercury just went retrograde. The eclipses. A lot of stuff may be coming up for you. And Virgo, you're so good at, kind of mapping things out and making a plan and, moving it forward. And I just feel like right now, whatever plans you've made, they're not happening. And this is like adopting a childlike innocence that things are being taken care of. Rosetta is definitely asking that of you. And you do have something to learn about that, because your frustration is in some ways blocking what you're trying to manifest. I actually think that the planetary activity is contributing to it, but your frustration and growing frustration has something to teach you, because nothing really good is going to happen born from a frustrated energy. In the angel's advice, I have Francesca saying, what do you want to visualize right now? Negativity will block your progress. I'm not really a big fan of the word negativity, because it feels like being positive is the resistance of negativity, which is ultimately negativity anyway. So I really think that, allowing yourself to adopt a childlike innocence, you know what, this is going to work out. And when I get my frustration lined up and I realize that there's a reason that this isn't happening right now, that maybe there's people, places, and dynamics that need to come into being so that I can move my story forward, because I have Sonia. And Sonia can represent a deceased loved one, but as a collective for Virgo, that's your spirit guides, that's your angels. They're part of the equation, and you're engaging them and thanking them for your experience, thanking them for the ease, thanking them for lifting the frustration so that you can see the wisdom of the situation will help move your story forward. And again, I just don't want you to get too much into timing of things. That's a frustrated energy. You put a timing out there, and as the time starts to approach, then you start to anticipate from a dynamic that isn't serving you. It's an anxious dynamic. It's a unsure dynamic. So I kind of want to take the pull back. It happens when it happens, so that everything happens for the highest and greatest good of all. It's almost like, Virgo's ruled by Mercury too. So your planet is retrograde. It would be more frustrating if you had to start all over again, right? So I almost want to say, okay, I'm going to take my idea, my timing off the table, and I'm going to let Spirit take care of the timing, because when it works out, it's going to work out more efficiently, better, higher vibrational, more lucrative than I would have imagined it. And I'm just going to keep that thought. And that's what your little opportunity is here, is to adopt that childlike innocence, that everything's working out for you. All right, let's go on to Libra. All right, Libra. Card number 1 is Oceana. The second is Bethany. The third is Archangel Gabriel. And the final card is Shanti. So Oceana talks about lovingly asserting yourself towards things you want, that you're really in touch with your truth. And then Bethany is a card of self-care. And then I have Archangel Gabriel, who's talking about lifting your insecurities. And then I have Shanti, the angel of peace, at the end of this. So Libra, I want to say this. I don't think that Oceana is really saying to take action and move your physical body towards something. This whole week, for all my signs right now, it feels like we're doing interior work. We're doing transformation in the way that we think about things. That taking loving action to assert myself towards what I want is the permission I give myself to realize that as I mature, as I've been on the planet, I'm not the same person, and I'm not this as vulnerable to, how do I want to phrase this? I don't want to say hurt, but I want to say that I feel like this is about my emotional body. That as I assert myself into the idea that, you know what, I've learned from the things I've been through. I've learned how to take care of myself even when people around me aren't taking care of themselves, or they're acting out towards me in ways that have nothing to do with me. Sometimes we get involved in relationships or in dynamics where we inadvertently trigger other people's issues, and we don't know we're doing it because we're just being ourselves. And then they start acting all squirrely and weird and freaky, and you're like, fuck you. Sorry, didn't mean to say that. Or did I? We get all mad and we just want to act out and lash out. And I think that's the lovingly asserting yourself, is saying to yourself, Libra, you know what? I didn't do this. This isn't mine. I didn't start it. I didn't, so I don't need to do anything but take care of myself. And remember not to let the idea that somebody else's behavior trigger old insecurities in me, and me start looking around for how I made them act that way, because I didn't. However this is playing out, that dynamic, that person, that environment could be responsible. So the peace that you give yourself is because you are taking loving action to say, you know what, I don't think I have anything to do with this right now. I think I might just be triggering somebody else's issues, some other dynamic that just really, and my job is to remember that I've evolved past taking responsibility for somebody else's stuff. And I only really want to focus in on how I show up for me, regardless of how you're showing up. You want to be snarky, you want to be rude, dismissive, ghosty, go ahead. Doesn't mean I'm going to act out. Doesn't mean I'm going to cry. Doesn't mean I'm going to reach out or follow you or chase you. Because at this juncture, I think my Libras just want peace. They want more balance. They want an interior balance, an interior equilibrium. And I think that's highly doable because it comes from my being energy. And when I lovingly assert myself into really looking how I've evolved, I don't have to take on those old dynamics. And I can let that sit over there. All right, let's go to Scorpio. It's funny, I was thinking in my head I was getting warm because all the windows are shut and screens shut and all that. And suddenly the fan went on high. I think my angels just turned it up for me. The other day they were turning the light on and off like crazy. I don't know what was going on. All right, Scorpio, our first card is Ray. The second is Teresa. The third is Azure. And the final card is Archangel Michael. All right, Scorpio, so this is the thing. When I first looked at this, I felt like you guys are just kind of knee-deep in it, in the worry and this is eclipse season. I hate to harp on this stuff, but it's just so... These energies are, you can't really trifle with them. They are what they are, and they may not be visible to the naked eye, but they are absolutely visible to the interior eye, to the third eye, to our chakras, to our emotional, spiritual bodies. Because Ray in the foundational position is talking about connecting with spirit. Your power comes from your connection to spirit and your ability to allow yourself to see the best in yourself. I just got done telling Libra that, you know, they were going through an opportunity to see where maybe the issue wasn't theirs, and yet they were being assaulted by somebody else's negative energy or their bad juju. I feel like that same thing is going on with Scorpio right now. You being able to connect to spirit and really do that self-talk that says, hey, is this mine? Is this really mine? Or am I somehow picking up somebody else's stuff and being slimed by it? Because Teresa is a card of worry, anxiety, and kind of taking a time out. And I feel like this is really saying, time out. I don't want your issues anymore, you know? I don't want you to tell me something and not have the actions back it up, or whatever the dynamic, because there's definitely a deficit here. In the Angel's Advice, I have Azure saying your desired outcome will happen in the near future. It's not about forcing it to happen. That's where Teresa's going back to please relax, trust. And the final card is Archangel Michael, and he's really asking you to have courage to stand bravely in your connection to spirit, and to hop, skip, and jump over the human beings, their issues, their attitudes, their dispositions, to the place where you want to be and how you want to feel. You know, there's a connection that we see when we watch romantic movies. We see these lovers find each other, and I think it resonates for all of us of wanting to find that connection. But in order to truly find that connection with another, we must sort of kind of find it within ourselves. And I think that's where Ray is asking us to connect with spirit, because that's the essence of who we are. And sometimes this human dynamic is so dense that it feels real. And it is real in the sense that it's really meant for us to have the courage and the bravery to walk through the contrasting experiences, through the muck and the mud, and believe a deeper, bigger story of ourselves, and then surrender to that story. So let's just use the example of a love affair. You've been in a relationship with someone and the dynamic has not served you for quite some time, and it's slowly eroding you and making you feel less than. And, you know, how do you want to process this for yourself moving forward? Rather than looking at that person and making them kind of, you know, looking at, like, I almost saw a mirror. I was going to say that wrong. When you're looking at that person and you're trying to manage their emotional body by your behavior, you might as well bang your head against the wall because it's never going to work. So I really want you to have, Scorpios, to be brave this week to connect with Spirit, to the deeper desires of what you want. If the relationship you're looking for in an intimate partner, you want more connection on a soul level, on a level that makes you feel cherished and valued and heard and seen, then be brave enough to stand in that energy, connect with Spirit, and allow them to lead you. You don't have to force anything. There will be logical steps that will start to come into play, and then you just walk through those doors. Okay, let's go on to Sag. All right, Sagittarius, what's up for you? All right. Our first angel is Archangel Raphael. The second is Daniel. The third is Isabella, and the final is Ray. Very interesting. So Sagittarius, this looks like there's a healing being offered. And when I say healing, I always kind of think of it as a reconciliation. It's where some of the more challenging dynamics I've experienced have come to work for me instead of dragging me under. Because I have Daniel here, and Daniel's the angel of marriage. And funny, I can't remember which sign, but they got the exact same combination of Daniel and the opportunity, the obstacle, and Isabella saying, yes, the timing is right for this new venture. A happy outcome follows your positive expectation. So what I believe this is saying for my Sagittarius is that there is an opportunity for you to reconcile your intimate bodies, how you've been in relationship and how relationships have landed on you. And, you know, we all get triggered sometimes, and we all behave poorly sometimes, and we all have had our hearts broken, and we've all broken hearts, and we've all shown up well when others didn't. So I feel like Archangel Raphael and Daniel are asking you to look at those kind of reflect upon those dynamics. And then Isabella is asking you to now go, okay, so how do you want it to feel? Because as you say, you know what, I want a partner that when I'm having my worst day ever reminds me of the best inside of me versus jumping on the bandwagon of you're a bitch. Because I really think that's Ray is offering us that. Ray is saying connect with Spirit. Your power comes from lovingly speaking to yourself and then holding a line and being able to see your own evolution in relationships. The very first relationship you were ever in, you're not the same person as you are now. I mean, maybe if you're listening to this and you're 15 and you're in your very first relationship, yeah, you are. But chances are probably that's not it. So as you allow for your own evolution in personal relationships and the evolution of your partners, drawing in better partners or partners that are more aligned to you, the truth of who you are, that allow you to be yourself and support that, whatever that is. So I don't think, again, this is about outward motion this week. Most of my signs are kind of being asked to look at their interior world and how they're feeling about themselves and how they are processing the journey that they've had so far on this earth plane and allowing for progress, maturity, wisdom, not sticking yourself in an old story. Okay, let's go on to Capricorn. So I'm thinking my Capricorns are really feeling that Saturn retrograde. It's your ruling planet. It's in your sign right now. And Saturn is oftentimes depicted as restrictive, dry, desert feeling, very oppressive in some ways. But I want to say this for my Capricorns. It offers reflection. So when we use Saturn's energy, rather than to be feeling tied down, but then to sort of reflect on what has been effective in my energy and what has been ineffective or actually tripped me up, I think that will be really serve you well this week. All right, I have Oceana in the first position. I have Caressa in the opportunity or the obstacle, Yvonne in the angel's advice, and the final card is Maya. Interesting. Okay, so Oceana talks about taking action, lovingly asserting yourselves towards the things that you want, that you're in touch with your truth in this situation. I don't know that this is about taking action literally. Oceana is the ocean. She's in water. Water is emotion. Water is intuitive. The ocean by nature is detoxifying. It's cleansing. It is healing. I really believe that Oceana is asking you to go into your interior world and lovingly assert yourself towards the things that you want, fleshing out or clarifying the type of things you want in your life, the kind of work you want to do, the kind of dynamics you want in your relationships, all the facets and the hues of being a human. Because Caressa is telling me in your opportunity, your obstacle, that you're going through the end of a life cycle. This is not necessarily about closing a door in the material world as much as it is about the end of a way of thinking about things, the end of allowing for that transformation, allowing for that interior world to blossom and grow. I have Yvonne in the angel's advice. She's a card of vulnerability to me. She's about being vulnerable to a bigger dynamic of what I want. I do not believe that humans are given dreams and desires and appetites that they are not able to fulfill. Yes, sometimes they're more challenging. Sometimes the road is a little rockier. But it doesn't mean that it cannot be done. It just means that the soul signed up for a big lesson, for a big chance to remember its power and its strength through its attitude in taking loving action. Because Maya is this card of schooling and education. And yes, I could say that a lot of my Capricorns could be going to school, and this could actually talk about a 3D structure, but as a collective, I think it's much more of an interior job, an energetic schooling, an energetic education in how I process things. Because I say this almost every week, at least for one sign, how I believe, what my attitude is, what my disposition is when I walk into a situation is setting up the outcome for how that's going to play out. Yes, we're bumping up against other people's attitudes, dispositions, but how we feel about it, how it feels in our interior emotional, spiritual bodies, that's all up to us. So I think that's it. Lovingly asserting yourself, allowing for this evolution within this I almost want to say revelation within, that will empower you to be more effective in your physical world moving forward. So enjoy this coming week in the way of offering reflection rather than feeling restricted, offering spirit an opportunity to show you something energetically a little bit different than you might have experienced it before. And again, kind of giving yourself a pat on the back for stepping into a place of your vulnerability towards the desires that you want. It's not always easy for Capricorn to be vulnerable. They're very, practicality and reality are large in your world. And dreams can sometimes feel frivolous. And I think that's part of the Capricorn life path, is to know that dreams aren't frivolous. They are as practical and realistic as anything else. All right, let's go on to Aquarius. My Aquarius is, how was the eclipse for you? Holy scamoly, you guys. It was right on top of your head practically. Well, it was, especially if you were like 4 degrees of Aquarius. And if for some reason you have multiple Aquarius, say you have a rising, and a moon, you really felt it. A lot of energy. Okay, so let's drop the cards. I'll be back in a second. Oh. Sorry. Okay. What does Spirit have to say for you, Aquarius, this week? I just heard the Eagles saying, take it easy. Like the song from the Eagles way back in the 70s. I'm not going to sing for you. Be grateful. All right, card number 1, Bethany, self-care. Take it easy. Rochelle, as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, prosperity is coming to you. Archangel Gabriel is asking you not to be insecure, and Crystal is saying, have faith and hope because there's something more on the horizon that you can't see. All right, Aquarius, this is so cool, kind of, because, you know, these eclipses were really bringing forth life-changing events, and not every event was something in the outside world. Again, this week, I'm really feeling an interior transformation in my emotional body, in my spiritual body, in my intellectual body, everything that is ruled by the interior that people walking around in the outside world can't necessarily see. Because Bethany in the foundational position is really a take it easy card for me now. I'm believing absolutely that she's confirming that let this week in some ways ride. Don't expect a lot of yourself right now, because I have Rochelle in the opportunity or the obstacle. As you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, prosperity is coming, but that's harmonious wealth. It's like feeling balanced, thriving, on course in many areas of my physical body, my family body, my intimate body, my spiritual body, all these different dynamics. But this is your opportunity as a result of self-care. And the self-care is having a bigger idea of how it feels when you're sitting in the vibration you're looking for. Okay, so that sounds so airy-fairy, but what I want to say is like this. Let's just say that all you really want is not to feel anxious right now. All you want is like, I don't want to have all these sketchy thoughts and all this anxiety. Well, as you give permission to say, okay, Spirit, thank you, take this over, I don't know why I feel this way, then Spirit is going to start to infuse you with a feeling of security that something good is starting to happen, and that all you have to do is just kind of relax. It's almost like the calm before the storm, but not a negative storm. It's like it feels more like ramping up. And that's coming towards the fall, because in the final position I have Crystal. Crystal says have faith and hope because there's something on the horizon that you can't see, something that you're going to enjoy. And it is coming to you as a result of the self-talk that you do that gives you permission not to always know how things are going to play out, but to have a really good idea of how it feels once it plays out. So once you're sitting in the job you love and making all the money you want to make and having that great set of friends that gets you and that you can be yourself around and having that great partnership, focusing in on those dynamics will help you push out the noise of all this sort of sketchy energy that's going on. And Uranus, one of your ruling planets, you're both Aquarius is ruled by, in ancient times it was Saturn, modern times Uranus. Uranus is squaring Mars yesterday, today, and tomorrow, I think, before they get away from each other. And Mars was just all cranky with the eclipse last week and on top of our nodes. So there was a lot of stuff going on that made us all feel a little crazy, but I would think Aquarius was really kind of going through it. So take care of yourself this week, and that is more about having a thought that, you know what, I may not know how it's going to play out, but I know it's going to play out, and it's probably going to play out better than I thought, so I'm just going to hold the line. All right, let's go on to our final sign, Pisces. I always say that because Lucky's a Pisces. I love him so much. Okay. What's up for Pisces? Card number 1 is Ray. Second card is Indriel. The third card is Akasha. And the final card is Athena. Interesting for me, Pisces. Okay, so I repeat myself all the time. Ray says, talks about yoga and exercise on the face of the card, but she's sitting in an Om position. She has her solar plex chakra, her power center, connected to spirit, sending a beam up, and then it's flanked by a green stripe and a blue stripe. So that's always me connecting to spirit with my heart and my throat chakra. So I'm talking from a higher vibrational place. Now I'm going to skip over the second and third card and go straight to Athena, because these two are seriously asking you to assert yourself to spirit in a loving way. I almost feel like this is absolutely opposite of every other sign I've gotten this week, for this week, where Spirit is saying, okay, where's our directives? What do you want from us, Pisces? Because we're ready to deliver what you want, but it's time for you to start to drive the bus a little bit, like assert yourself to us with what you want. Indriel is the card of the light worker. As a collective, this is about shining the light on what you want to experience. I don't care if you're 85 years old when you're listening to this. If you want to be in a loving relationship, assert yourself to Spirit. Thank you for bringing in that great partner. Thank you for giving me the heart to feel that partner and to accept him coming in. Because Akasha is telling me the angels want, in some ways, this is the spiritual teacher card. I think you're learning about when you shine your light and you assert yourself, Spirit will start to move things around. But I really feel like my Pisces, it's almost as if you've been waiting, just sort of waiting, like, hello, yeah, okay. And Spirit's like, well, wait, you didn't tell us, do you want one or don't you? I feel like you're being a little evasive to them. Or if you aren't being evasive, then when you're describing your desires, there's a scarcity, there's lack. Somehow you're going into the situation with a story, and it's a history story where you didn't win as much, so I want to shift that around. That's how Athena lovingly asserts herself towards what she wants, and Ray sends the message to Spirit. Overall, for this next week, this is funny because, okay, so you're not really asserting yourself in the physical world. You're asserting yourself into the spiritual realm. You're literally, Ray is asking you to send rockets of desire. Can you see her? Where's the light? Hold on. Rockets of desire up into the universe and fan them out with a joyous energy. And as you shine that joyous energy, that light, you're going to learn something. And I think that you're going to start to learn how Spirit does support your loving intentions towards yourself. And I want to just kind of wrap it up for Pisces this way. When you're asserting yourself, I really want you to dig deep and find out if there's fear there. Find out if you're begging somehow or if you're in a thankful energy. Because thankful, grateful, joyful, excited energy manifests very quickly, even with all these astrological dynamics. But when we're doing something in a please, oh God, I hope it'll happen. It's like sticking a big cog in the wheel. It's like trying to skate on sand. It just... All right. Okay, guys, that's it for this week. Next week, we'll be going into another eclipse. This one's going to be a solar new moon eclipse. It's going to be the last one of this series of three. This series of three eclipses triggered our year ago, August. We had quite a bit of eclipse activity. So there is a connection between the years, but it's also offering us a lot of transformation on an interior basis. What I want to emphasize, I guess, this week is that it's not about our history chasing us and repeating itself in a negative way, as much as I feel like each and every sign has an opportunity to see their own individual evolution. And in doing so, and in acknowledging that you've grown and you're more mindful and more self-talk is more loving, and then Spirit is going to be able to usher in those energies, those people, those dynamics, those experiences that support your evolution, which then takes you on to the next level of evolution. All right, guys, again, my name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, Reiki master, intuitive guide, and empowerment coach. And if you'd like to book a private session with me, please feel free to give me a call, text me, or send me an email at info@terihunter.com. That's TERIHUNTER.com. Have a great week, everybody. I'll be back next Thursday. Bye-bye.